And also,
So I just want to introduce for anyone watching this recording, this is Ben and Alejandra. They're both residents of North Denver. Alejandra, you all might remember, presented at a public comment at the DOTI Advisory Board meeting the other day. So I just wanted to turn it over to you both to share kind of what you all are seeing here with the Federal BRT project.
thank you, Alan. I'm Alejandra Castañeda. I've lived in North Denver since 2008. I've lived kind of all over, more recently at 40th and Irving, which is very near Federal Boulevard. So Federal Boulevard is very near and dear to my heart, and also such a struggle because we know that it's part of the high injury network, and it is a road, a stroad that divides communities rather than connects them. So this is a very important project to me personally and also for my community. I'm an immigrant. I don't have a car. I often use the 31 bus. And my child has been starting to use the bus as well. She's in middle school. So I'm excited to be here and talk to you about why the federal BRT project is so important. Ben?
Real quick, are you sharing your slides? I do not see them.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Alan. Yeah, so my name is Benjamin. I live in House District 5. I'm within a mile of Federal, right off of 29th. I've always enjoyed the wonderful businesses and opportunities along Federal, but I'm always disheartened by the constant traffic violence that we see on Federal, as well as delays that the 31 has, just dealing with the traffic and the mess that is often presented on Federal. And as someone who's also car-free, the 31 is a key way for me to get around town, especially along Federal. So I think let's start sharing slides.
Okay. I don't know if I can share my screen, Alan. Can you give me?
Yeah, let me make you a co-host here so you can share as needed, Alejandra. You should be able to do that now.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
How do I do that? Participants share screen. Okay. And so, yeah, so this is the Federal Boulevard BRT project presentation for the DOTI Advisory Board Subcommittee on 6/18/24 by me and Ben.
As I'm sure many of you are familiar, CDOT is working to introduce a number of BRT routes for sections of Federal, Colorado, and eventually east of I-25 on Colfax. These projects will involve the communication and collaboration across numerous cities, counties, and regional organizations, including DOTI. So full bus rapid transit is high quality bus transit providing fast and efficient service. BRT is the pinnacle of bus-based transportation, including dedicated lanes, traffic signal priority, and enhanced station design. With these high quality features, BRT is able to provide a more reliable, convenient, and faster service than other bus routes. High quality station designs make transit more trustworthy and approachable. This is you.
Yeah, so the Federal BRT project, what is BRT? Why are they choosing, or why is CDOT choosing to do a BRT project along Federal? It is one of RTD's highest ridership bus routes, but the buses on the corridor, which are the 31 and the 30L, experience significant delays because they are stuck in general purpose traffic, resulting in long travel times, less reliability. And then BRT will reduce these travel times and improve the reliability of public transportation along the corridor. And the goals for the project are very important for us to keep in mind as we sort of move forward in this presentation. It will improve safety because by having BRT bus-only lanes on the majority of the corridor, we will have less likelihood of traffic crashes. It will increase transit reliability and ridership, helping us achieve our emissions goals. It will decrease transit travel times, which will help people who depend on transit have to pay a lower tax time or time tax. And it will promote vibrancy along the corridor. It will increase access for people who must take transit, including older people, younger people, people with a disability. And it will improve connectivity and mobility along the corridor and for our city. The federal BRT recommended alternative that currently CDOT is sort of studying and organizing open houses for and all of that. This is the project timeline down below. You can see 2023 to 2025 is the preliminary design, the engineering, and the, I'm admitting someone's here. Hi, Jake.
Jake, Alejandra, and Ben were just starting the presentation, and we were recording it for the benefit of others on the advisory board that might want to watch this weren't able to join us. So Alejandra, I'm not hearing from Jake. He might be getting his audio going, so please continue.
Yes. So this is a key, crucial part of the process, we believe, because this is the moment that we can make sure that we are setting up the project for success and our communities for success. So the preliminary design, like I said, engineering and environmental review is happening right now. And the recommended alternative that CDOT is putting forward is one based on the Denver moves. So this is, from DOTI, Denver City County, City and County of Denver moves federal transit alternative summary report, a very important piece that's used for this alternative. And then the Westminster's Federal Boulevard multimodal transportation study. And there's a map here to the right showing the length of the BRT project. And we'll talk some more about that. Oh. Here. And then why is the side running configuration for BRT is being proposed as the best alternative? It is recommended by those two reports that I just mentioned on the previous slide. It has the best summary scores in Denver moves, including for enhanced safety. So it will help us achieve our citywide Vision Zero goals and also our statewide goals and greater transit access, meaning equity plus sustainability. The capital cost of the recommended alternative is 25% to 35% less than the center running, which is another one of the true BRT options that were studied. And then travel times are comparable between these two, but it would cost us less. So that's why this is being put forth as the best alternative. Something that Ben found out while we were looking at the numbers and the Denver Moves report is that these scores that support the stability of local neighborhoods and businesses were miscalculated. The actual scores in the report in another section were actually 3.3, and 4 for these important criteria, which brings down the overall scores to a more comparable, are you seeing me when I move this? Yeah, okay. More comparable scores, which is the only score in which enhanced transit, which we will talk about in a minute, scores higher than the other alternatives.
So you're saying here that you all found data elsewhere in Denver Moves studies that was in contrast to the data that was presented by this screen right here. Is this presented by CDOT or by DOTI?
No. So this is the Denver Moves alternative analysis report. And within the same document, different pages, they made a mistake in which they took the wrong scores to achieve the overall score, to arrive to the overall scores. So we are correcting here on this screen, instead of being 2.3, 3, and 4.7 for the stability of local neighborhoods and businesses, it's actually a little closer to each other, which brings the overall scores lower. And I don't know how to see my my notes, my speaker notes here, but can you see them there, Ben?
No, we
Can
don't
you
see the
remind?
speaker notes. We just see your presentation, Alejandra.
Yeah, but for me to be able to see it, and I don't know how
Yeah,
to
no,
see
I
that.
see it.
Yeah.
The overall scores, I think we calculated correct, although we're not quite sure. But I think they end up being closer to 3.8, 4.1, and 3, as opposed to what you see on the charts there. From what we can tell, it's just the charts that are showing incorrect numbers. If you read through the study itself, they provide the accurate numbers. So it's just kind of the in conclusion tables that seem to have errors. But I'll dig into that a little bit more, and we'll try and reach out to the correct people about that.
But I think that, I mean, the difference here when you're looking at 2.3, 3, and 4.7, which is the only score in which enhanced transit, has a higher score than the other options, is very different. It's much higher than if you look at 3, 3.3, and 4, which is where the mistake in calculating was done. So we'll move on. We'll continue then.
So with a quarter of affordable housing units in the city located on this corridor and a large percentage of small businesses, a side-running BRT will significantly improve movement along this corridor and across the city, helping create an accessible and equitable Denver. If we cheap out on the project, we'll be cheaping out on the potential benefits of this project.
And we can address also any negative impacts that might come from having a side running BRT by establishing policies that invest, to help avoid these negative impacts.
Yeah, there's definitely a very valid concern that with increased accessibility and access, that businesses and people along the corridor may be displaced. We believe that with appropriate business and housing policies, we can help avoid these negative impacts. However, within reason, side running BRT can meet the goals set out for the federal BRT project. Unfortunately, CDOT appears to be moving forward with only enhanced transit elements between 20th and 50th Avenue. That is all in Denver. Buses for these 30 blocks will be running in general purpose traffic. And so why propose to have...
So could you go back to that last slide real quick, Ben?
Yep.
So you're saying here, so we've got BRT running all the way from, Inglewood essentially up to 20th Avenue. And then so the bus will be, just for clarify for folks that aren't familiar with the corridor, it will be back down to 2 general purpose lanes. So essentially the bus will be stuck, or any bus will be stuck in traffic jams between 20th and 50th Avenue, slowing folks down there that are riding transit.
We believe so. There are talks of implementing transit signal priority, and a number of features that will exist along the entire route to help intersection lights, change when the bus is approaching, that are theoretically there to help the bus continue moving. Although that's not going to be sufficient, I guess is how I would put it. The bus will get stuck in traffic, even if the bus is telling the intersection to give it the green light, with drivers in front of the bus trying to turn right, doing all sorts of things, trying to get out in front of the bus, there will be inherent delays throughout these 30 blocks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how there's not going to living along the corridor similar to you two. That's kind of one of the busier stretches, right? So I don't see how the bus isn't going to be delayed in that area. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, what happens all along this corridor is that Federal is wider, has more traffic lanes in the other sections, while in this section in the city of Denver, it only has 2 traffic lanes. Usually, for moving traffic, there's also turn lanes and all of that.
So justification for the unwillingness to provide the BRT a dedicated lane here comes down really to the supposed lack of political will. There'll be still many who believe that promoting and prioritizing private car access is the most important for economic development. Studies, though, time and time again have shown that this is not true. BRT with a dedicated lane and fast, reliable service would make the destinations on Federal Boulevard more appealing than they had ever been before for employees and customers alike.
And I think something to that I would like to read out loud and to make sure that we have heard over and over. We have spoken to project representatives at CDOT. We have gone to the open houses. We have heard this quote, said more or less the same way. Executive management does not think reducing the general purpose lanes along, between 20th and 50th is politically feasible. And so we know that what we need to do is convince that it is the best and it is what aligns with the goals of the project and also with our city action plans and state action plans.
The results of the Denver moves analysis on this corridor was, and I quote, based on the quantitative and qualitative analysis conducted, side running BRT is recommended as the ultimate high capacity transit vision for the federal corridor. So these quotes here on this, or this is a subset quotes from that study, from the Denver Moves Transit Alternative Analysis, showing that enhanced transit has the lowest score for opportunity of community serving economic development and neighborhood. This shows that the political concerns are not valid. So these are the scores. Those are the scores that we mentioned earlier, or some of the scores that we mentioned earlier, where center and side running transit had a score of 4, which was a high score, whereas the enhanced transit option had a lower 3 score. And pointing out, and again, the enhanced transit is pointed out as, well, you get what you pay for, and if you're not going to build good quality transit, you're not going to get good quality results, or as high of results as you could.
I would add to that too, that I feel like having a rather large chunk right in the middle where there's no dedicated bus lane, it's going to mean that people on the north and the south of that corridor are going to be impacted as well, right? If you want to go from 14th Avenue down to Alameda, your bus is probably going to be late because it's going to get stuck in traffic in that other section. So I don't think it's just a question of how does it impact folks in North Denver. It's absolutely impacting folks in Southwest Denver and northern suburbs as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's something that we were talking about, because there's an equity index that the Department of Public Health and Environment, the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, has set up for the social determinants of health. And although North Denver in this section is a little higher than the other sections, there are people traveling from Westminster down to past North Denver, down south, and vice versa. And so it's affecting those folks as well that depend on transit.
Yeah, so deprioritizing BRT along this stretch of road goes directly against the goals of this project, as well as the priorities of Denver. This is a look at Denver's crash data dashboard, which shows fatal and serious injury crashes since 2013. Almost a quarter of all of the serious crashes along Federal in Denver happened between 20th and 50th. A Vision Zero road safety audit from 2022 studying Federal Boulevard from 46th to 52nd identified how dangerous this street is for everyone. High quality, reliable, and fast public transit is a catalyst to addressing our road safety crisis, a key to achieving Vision Zero.
Other factors and conditions that are currently and will in the future be affected by this project are density. There are several schools and community spaces along this corridor, including Regis University, Columbian Elementary, North High School is right off of Federal. A lot of the students at North use the 31 bus. Family Star Montessori, which is an early Head Start, and Head Start, where I worked several years ago is also along this corridor. The Woodbury Library and several others I'm sure we missed. Then there's also the pedestrian safety project that's being currently worked on 25th Avenue. This BRT project will connect really nicely with that project as well, creating more people, traveling through the corridor and more safely. There's shops, housing, churches. There are DOTI neighborhood byway intersections along Federal that would benefit from a safer Federal Boulevard with a BRT only bus only lane, I'm sorry, and then other bus lines that also connect that would benefit from having, faster, more reliable bus service along Federal. There's population growth and job growth that's expected. You can see the numbers on the slide. And also there may be impacts. There will be impacts, we hope, and that's why we work so hard on this statewide bill to allow for greater density, residential density near certain transit lines. And there's going to be grants associated with that. So we got to think about that as well. There are also transit delays and equity considerations, which we believe are the most important. When there is little or no traffic congestion, transit users can expect to spend almost 50% more time traveling along the corridor compared to people who are traveling in private vehicles. This is also from the Denver Moves Transit Alternatives Study report. There's anticipated growth that will further impact transit reliability. We can only fit so many private vehicles on Federal. And there's a time tax that communities that are already burdened by land use, economic, and transportation inequities, they will have to bear, and they will continue to bear. This is the scores for providing greater transit access. That is also part of that Denver Moves plan. And you can see that the side running is the one with the highest score overall compared to any other, including enhanced transit.
As you guys are aware, the role and purpose of the DOTI Advisory Board is to strengthen our city's work towards addressing the transportation challenges we face that are all very much rooted in inequity. We have a goal to reach Vision Zero by 2030. We have a goal to increase transit usage and decrease single occupancy vehicle commutes. We are in the midst of a climate crisis, and we have climate goals that would lead to a healthier city. All of these goals are rooted in equity and access. So much of our built environment was built to create barriers and deny communities the opportunities for success. We have a goal to create connective networks that eliminate these barriers and give everyone access to opportunity. The board is to engage in Denver's communities in recommending policy and strategic opportunities. All advice and recommendations are to be made to meet the goals equitably. The Federal BRT project, if done right, can help address all of these goals.
So what are we asking from the advisory board, the DOTI Advisory Board? First, to identify who at DOTI is partnering with CIDO in this project. We know that they are working on that, and in which capacity. What is the role? What are their responsibilities? Are they ensuring that the project aligns with our city action plans like Vision Zero and climate goals and equity goals? And to request periodic updates from DOTI regarding the project. Once this DOTI partner is identified, we are urging you, the advisory board, to send a letter to DOTI and CDOT executive management asking them to ensure that this preliminary design, so this 2023 to 2025 process, aligns with project goals. They are right here again, so that you can see the project goals, and with our statewide and citywide mobility and environmental action plans, noting that the current proposed alternative that excludes bus-only lanes between 20th and 50th will not meet these goals and plans. To also ask them to prioritize safety, equity, and livability, and to please ride the bus with us. The 31 bus, we believe oftentimes people who are making decisions about mobility and transportation are not familiar with how things work on the ground for community members. So ride the bus with us from 14th Avenue to Regis.
And this is a great quote that we found that came from a DOTI report recently. So I'm going to read it because I think it really hammers it all home. Our streets make up our largest public space. However, in 2021, the Denver Moves Everyone 2021 State of the System report documented that most of this space is given to road lanes, and parking represents 22 square miles and 12 square miles respectively, with 5 square miles to sidewalks, 1 square mile to bike lanes, and less than 1 square mile to bus-only lanes. This has created imbalances in our transportation system that impact the daily lives of Denver residents and visitors. This includes traffic-related deaths and serious injuries, especially among the most vulnerable users of the roadway, reduced air quality and increased climate emissions, disconnected neighborhoods, and limited options for getting to destinations without the use of a personal vehicle.
And
Any
that's
questions?
it. Questions or feedback?
Jake, I've been asking questions and chiming in. Do you want to dive in with any questions or thoughts you have?
What is the biggest issue that they're expressing on the side running is that it's right-of-way acquisition, is that correct?
No, the biggest issue is that they don't want to take between 20th and 50th. They don't want to take one general purpose lane of traffic away to make it a bus only lane.
Okay.
So it's either that or imminent, right? Like it's either that or expanding the space, right? Expanding the space which is not really feasible of buying homes and all that kind of jazz.
Yes, costly.
And that's the section of Federal with a median, right?
Yes, there's median along the way.
Would you mind stopping the screen share, Alejandra, if you don't mind?
Yeah, no problem.
You're not getting nauseous from that?
It's cool.
It's one of my favorite GIFs of all time, but it's quick moving. No, I think I'm just trying to better understand their perspective here, because I think that gives us the best path for how to work with them, which is
I think a considerable part of it is that it'd be going down, right? There'd be one general purpose lane in each direction.
Okay.
And that's not felt as acceptable, right? Like that's not felt as feasible or politically feasible. That being said, I think that it will right? Like as Alan was saying earlier, it'll negatively impact all the routes on the Federal BRT, every bus, whether you're just trying to stay, right? Like whether you're just trying to connect to the G line or the B line up north, or you're headed down to, farther south, it's going to affect it all.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that with the Colfax BRT. Is there's some concern about the Aurora section.
I liken it to that often. I think we'll see the same exact result from that.
Any other questions, Jake, or do you want me to stop the recording?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can stop the recording.
Great. And before I stop the recording, I just want to acknowledge Ben, Alejandra, thank you so much for all these details. We'll definitely pass this recording off to the advisory board. So thank you all again.